Last time we checked in, I was sending my friend Allison some handmade baby gifts. Will she like them? Let's find out. Welcome to the Sewing Report. I'm Jen. This channel is all about sewing crafts and DIY projects. We've got something special for you today. My friend Allison has received her care package and she will be opening it right now via Skype. All right, we're here with Alison and Lynn. What up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, what's up, Jen? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good over here. All right, so you guys have gotten the care package, and I wanted to have you guys share what you received and get your initial thoughts on each item.
So, we have one zippy, lucky baggie.
All right, and for all the viewers, these are my friends Allison and Lynn. They are in Central Washington, and I'm friends with them, and I used to work with Allison. And Allison is having a baby very, very soon.
Yep. May 9th is our due date.
May 9th. Woo! I mentioned that there's a chance the baby could be here by the time people watch this video, but you're hoping that does not happen, right?
Yeah, we don't. We want to go full term. We want to go like double full term. Like, I think I'm the only pregnant woman in history to say that if it wants to stay in another year at this point, given what's going on in the world, I'd be fine with that.
You'd be okay with it? Okay.
It needs to get done.
Okay.
However, we just want it to stay in the little easy bake oven as long as it needs to be until it's fully cooked, and then when it's done cooking, let's get it out because, yeah, Mama be having hormones and stuff. So
whatever. I will say, like, the last few weeks of pregnancy, I mean, for the most part, I was just thinking, this is nothing. I mean, I don't know what everybody complains about. And then you hit like 35-ish weeks, and you're like, yeah, this is not fun. You have to launch yourself out of chairs. The baby, like, every time it moves, it feels like someone is pushing a boulder around in your belly. Just all kinds of things. Your bladder.
It's totally like the chest breakers, though, from Alien. Because, like, when she'll be laying there in bed and she'll wake me up in the middle of the night, she'll be like, honey, 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 look. And then you just see this, like...
So you can see the baby moving? That is very surreal.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
This baby likes to stick I think it's its left heel out. No, right heel. But yeah, the whole foot will just come.
It's not doing you any favors, huh?
Back in, like, you go back to where you stay, and this is my space over here.
That's kind of crazy. Well, part of the reason I wanted to do all the horse prints is because obviously you're very into horses. Okay, so let's see some of the stuff. Yes. I want to know your initial thoughts on all of it. Like, did you know what it was? Like, what? Okay, you can rob a bank now.
It's a path for the baby to go to the grocery store.
I'm assuming these are
bibs.
Bibs.
They are, yeah, they're bandana bibs.
They're super cute.
They're redneck bow ties.
Redneck bow ties. They're really popular now.
It might fit me.
Yeah, there you go. They're so popular, and there's a lot of patterns out there now for.
I could wear this, honestly. Like, I would wear this.
There you
go. Actually, like, a lot of the ranchers I know out here, they all cover their neck to stay warm, and they all have something like this. So I'm sorry, baby, but
oh my gosh, that does actually fit you. Okay, so whenever the baby stops,
I'm totally wearing this.
See, she's so fat, guys, but she's able to wear
a bib. An infant's bib.
Baby. Yeah.
That is really cool, though. I love the colors. The blue is really pretty.
This one's pretty cool. This has like this feels like
flannel.
That's flannel.
It's cotton flannel. And I wanted it because it was absorbed. So I tried to pick cotton. One I did just flannel, and then a couple I think I did flannel and quilting cotton, and then the white one is like terry cloth. So I wanted something kind of absorbent.
Yeah, they're really nice.
I like the terry cloth.
Would you say this is a good gift for a new parent?
Yeah, we don't have any bibs.
Any bibs, okay.
Yeah, and these are neat because they're different. I mean, you know, the ones you usually see at the store or that people buy you on the registry all look the same. So they don't have, like, they're not V-necks, you know what I mean? Like, these are V-necks.
V-necks?
So
and
you can't fit on.
It's like a dickie too. You remember
it's like a dickie, yeah.
Yeah, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when Cousin Eddie had the little.
I'll wear this for the rest of the Skype.
You should.
Okay, yes, let's do that.
It's very cute.
These are awesome, and I love the little. Look at the little tag, honey. It says "Handmade by
At Sewing Report. It's so cute.
Hey, you gotta plug myself. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Am I getting
And
it
now
right?
what? And you obviously knew what that was, right?
Yep.
Sewing Report. Yeah, we subscribe.
Oh no, the item, the item.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
sorry. I'm not that
Yeah, this
egotistical
is the
yet.
for either for changing or for the crib.
It's yeah, you know what? It's technically a baby blanket, but you can really use it for whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's really
Um,
nice. We don't have one of those either, so thank
and
you.
it's all cotton, and it's all cotton. So it's cotton
Wonderful.
fabric, and then cotton. Actually, that's organic fabric too.
Oh,
Whatever
snap.
that means. I think it just means like, certain they have certain processes or standards or something.
She's definitely learning from you. She
Yeah.
followed that up with the
Cotton.
whatever that means.
Well, one thing that we learned about baby products is that by law, a lot of the ones that like you would buy at the store are required to have flame retardants and other chemicals
Mm.
in them. Now, like the idea is it protects your kid. I question whether a flame retardant on a piece of a blanket is going to save a child from a fire in the house, but it could potentially cause problems like the baby breathing in the flame retardants. I mean, it's going into its pores, like touching it constantly. And the smaller and younger the child, especially like the same thing if your viewers do like makeup, for instance, and teenage girls, they are more receptive and affected by chemicals than an adult, their endocrine system. So have the studies shown definitively that there could be problems? Not that I've read yet, but it's not something that we want to take a chance on.
And that's interesting because a lot of fabrics, when you buy them, they'll say not made for children's sleepwear because there's no flame retardant on it. Like, I
Right.
just had to tell a friend that I sent another blanket to. I said, hey, just a disclaimer, you're not supposed to let your baby sleep with the blanket. And the same thing for a lot of fleece, because fleece is basically polyester. If it catches fire, it would just melt onto your skin, which is not fun for anybody.
No.
So you kind of just it's a little misleading though because you see all these like cozy prints, cozy fabrics, and like they scream pajamas and stuff and blankets.
Mhm.
And then there's this little fine print that says not for sleepwear. And you're like, well, what is it, man? Like what?
Yeah.
Stop making fabric with clouds on them
I,
then,
you know,
It's
I,
weird.
I have an interesting take on it all, I guess, or I would say I have an interesting take on it. Like when I was in the service, one of the things that we had to always be conscious of, because specifically as a diver, being in oxygen-rich environments, so when as a diver underneath your wetsuit or whatever you were wearing, like we weren't allowed to wear like those silky style like running shorts that we guys typically wore, like the average person wore. When you're doing diving operations, you're not allowed to do that because it's polyester. But the other thing is when you go into, like, say you had to take a chamber ride, like decompression chamber, because it's oxygen rich environment and you're under pressure, things can spontaneously combust or spark, and when that happens in an oxygen rich environment, that's a bad thing. So a lot of guys would either go commando, which is where the term came from, or they would have to wear like cotton. You have
Okay,
to wear like
so
cotton undies. So
note to
but
self,
to
no
me,
polyester DIY projects for divers. Is that kind of
right,
what you're
but
getting at? Okay.
the thing I would say though with all that, because same thing, like we were wearing regular like cotton uniforms and ripstop nylon uniforms throughout a lot of Iraq and Afghanistan, and then because of the IED threat started getting bad and guys were burning up inside of vehicles and stuff, they started making us wear Nomex flight suits.
Okay.
Nomex is another fabric that's flame resistant, flame retardant, and but the reality is if like you're stuck in some kind of a burning structure or a burning vehicle, it doesn't matter how flame retardant it is, it's gonna burn. It's just not as bad. So to me, I don't know. I think it's interesting how, clearly that guideline for like infant wear or just sleepwear or whatever came from somewhere or something like catastrophic that happened, but I just kind of wonder, like, I know for me, if we're laying in bed and the house is on fire, first thing I'm grabbing is Junior or Sally or,
Yeah, or whoever this baby
Wait, what
turns
about
out
yeah,
to
me?
be. What about you?
Your own.
Are you're
grown ass
okay?
What
Every
about
woman.
man for
Chaka?
himself.
Yeah, you
Okay.
get Chaka, I'll get the baby.
Well, it is kind of one of those things where whether it's food or clothing, stuff your channel focuses on, there have been a lot of things over the last, say, like 50 or 60 years, additives, chemicals that are meant to sort of help us and save us from worst case scenario. But the worst case scenario rarely happens, and the most likely case scenario is that then you're exposed to these
The
chemicals for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
even
what
know what's
happens?
in flame retardant, but it doesn't sound natural.
I can tell you that, like, it's one of the things that ends up in waterways. As a former environmental reporter, it ends up in our oceans and in our waterways, and it's very bad for juvenile fish. And so it's a problem for areas like where we live near Puget Sound, because not just like from washing your clothes and stuff, we have other problems like putting out fires and stuff, and that just leaches into the water. But it's a chemical that does hurt the microbiology of your ecosystem. So that's another thing to think about.
All right. Yeah, and a lot more sewists I think, are becoming more mentally conscious, which is great. And the more I find out about it, the more I want to know, and the more I want to try to be a more responsible consumer, I guess. And that's the thing. Thanks to you, I really didn't used to care about this kind of stuff, like, at all. But it's because I didn't know, you know?
We are glad to
We're
have,
glad.
because you've gotten us more interested in being sewists.
So there we go. All right, so
I've
let's.
been
Which
a long,
Lynn sort of is
I've been a
already, but
long time sewist. That's
So
that's
you
gonna be a
Lynn, yeah,
video for
Lynn,
another time.
for another time.
the sewist with the knowist.
All right, so we've talked about getting set on fire, diving, and baby stuff. So what else is in this box?
You set on fire.
Set
Well,
on fire?
I'll tell you what. Another thing that's very, very important to me from my background is your feet. Protecting your feet, keeping your feet dry, having good footwear, because you don't realize how much it sucks, how bad it sucks when your feet are hurt until your feet are hurt, right? And so one of the things that we got in the care package from you is
Little
little foot
booty. Hey, you reined it all in there, man.
Yeah,
All
you
right, so
like that?
what? Yeah, what was your? Did you know what they were? Like, is there
Oh, yeah,
anything where you don't know what it is? Like,
Pull it up so they can see how you.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I think it's a really interesting design that you had, because so it's easy to get on. It's not like a sock, and then you have the two little snappies, right? And yeah, I wish I had a pair for me, actually.
I know they are pretty. And for the record, this is not my pattern. I think the pattern was by a woman called, like, Handmade in the Heartland, and she modeled her pattern off of these popular baby booties that, like, are supposed to not come off the baby's feet. So hopefully it works.
They're very cute.
And they're supposed to
Yeah.
be like, I guess one problem is that a lot of socks or baby booties just slide off.
Mm-hmm.
So these are supposed to be, I mean, I hope they work. I couldn't test them out. It was interesting to construct these. I don't make a lot of shoes or anything, so it was just cool to see, what all was going on with that. But
The thing I like is the elastic touch. Like that must have
yes.
been tricky
And
doing
yeah,
that.
and when we get through all this stuff, I have some questions for you guys, just in your impressions of, how long this stuff took me, or like what you think was the hardest or the easiest. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll get to that though,
Ooh.
because I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, so it looks like 2, 4, 6, 6 booties.
And for the record, you guys also are not finding out the gender of the baby, so I
Right.
didn't want to pick any colors that were real girly or like super, I mean, not that that matters, but I, you know,
I actually
it
like,
was it was pretty
people have been
blue
getting
is
us a
pretty
lot of
neutral.
gray.
Okay.
Yeah, people have been getting us a lot of gray, which is kind of annoying, actually. It's like more like your kid's gonna be, sad all the time.
They'll be like
Like
the,
Eeyore.
they'll be like the kids that we saw when we lived in the university district. My hair's not long enough to do it anymore, but
The
they
emo
have
kids.
the emo kids. And
Okay,
it's like,
the
God,
emo
I hate
kids.
Papa.
See, are you hoping to have an emo baby or not?
No, we don't want an emo.
Okay.
That's why we like your color choices.
We've got we have the apocalypse baby.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. And
Our baby is coming during I Am Legend.
I want to ask, do you have any leanings towards one way if you think it's a boy or a girl?
I think boy.
You think boy?
I used to think girl until all these other people started saying boy, and now I'm very just confused. I honestly have no clue.
There's this thing called the curse that all like guys who are in like special operations and did stuff like I did in the military, they call it the curse, where it's like guys like that, they always get girls.
And
And-
not because
Oh,
girls
see-
are bad that it's a curse, just
No.
because they are going to learn what happens when a girl is treated the way guys treat women sometimes when they're not thinking with their
Yeah.
brains.
Yeah.
I see
It's-
what you're saying. So, like,
Yeah.
a guy who's a womanizer is going to have a bunch of daughters.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Okay, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Not womanizers. It's just-
Womanize.
But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where I think the reason why it's such a thing is because, you know, guys like that are very much A-type personalities, and so it doesn't. You wouldn't think that would mix with like daddy's little girl type deal thing, and so most often than not, those dudes get daughters, and for me, it was pretty funny, you know, because obviously I have a lot of friends who have kids and families and stuff like that, but you'll see the most toughest, like hard as nails guy, the guy that you wouldn't pick a fight with even if you packed a lunch and brought a whole bunch of friends. But then as soon as he's around his daughter, wrapped right around his
Aw.
finger. So it's or around her finger. So it's I think that's where some of that comes from too, to be honest.
So, I have a suggestion for the name. Not a specific name, but
Oh.
I think the initials should be WOW. Wow. You're
Woodland.
probably, I know you're not going to do that, but that would be
Walter
kind of awesome.
Oscar Westover.
Oscar
Walter
Westover.
Oscar.
Wow. So then, you know,
Wanda,
that would be a
Whiskey
cool
Oscar
monogram. That
Wanda,
would be an amazing
Olivia.
monogram, wouldn't it? Wow. Just wow.
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 Or
That would be
www, like internet stuff. I don't know. I mean, I know that's stupid, but it would be kind of fun.
Should go ahead and see if the domain name exists now.
Wow.
That would now for $12 before it gets
Wow.
yeah filed out.
We're not going to have a Lynn the Third, that's for sure.
Okay, no.
Well, so I found an interesting thing about that. If you think your viewers would care to hear this one, so obviously my name's Lynn. Hi, we've just met. I'm a junior. Even the VA sends me mail that is addressed to Mrs. Lynn L. Westover Jr. Right?
Oh,
So
no.
I giggle when I
So
see
you didn't
people
want
get
to
so
subject
offended
someone to
about,
that. Someone,
yeah,
a third
about their
generation.
yeah, about where
Right.
they line up in the gender spectrum. But for the longest time, I was very, it was a joke. But it was kind of passive aggressive, where I'd give my dad a hard time about like me being named Lynn, and like, yeah, you hear, Sue at least had a song written about him by Johnny Cash. Nobody ever wrote a song about a guy named Lynn, you know. And I just found out the other day from my mom that that was actually her idea, because she thought that was a good like kind of homage or tribute to my father, because her brother George is George Jr., named after her dad. So she did, when I was born, she made that decision as a kind of a just a nice gesture towards my father. And I had no idea until just recently when I
So
was telling my
the
mom about
tradition will not continue, is what you're saying. No,
Sorry.
okay.
no,
Lynn
I
gets
do
no
not want
homage.
I do not want my kid getting picked on at school the way I did. Like
Oh,
if he's gonna get picked on, it's gonna be for other things. It's
for
not
other
gonna be
things,
because
not the name. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, wow. Just think about it. Initials, wow. That would be pretty cool.
Wow.
Wow. See, you said wow.
out
Just feel like wow.
backyard. Wow, it's
Wow.
time for.
What do you think these
Probably-
are?
I guess these are.
Changing pads? Is that what these are?
I love. Good guess. They're burp cloths, or you could use them as like on paper towels.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
No, that works perfect. I like the horse.
The horse
Yeah,
print
my-
is pretty cool. So the horse print, I've had some of these fabrics for like 5 years.
It just made Allie's day.
And I was,
because-
and that's the thing with the cool fabrics, you want to save them, but then you get that, you're like, you know what, this would be cool for such occasion. So I thought the horse fabric would be good for you
Yeah,
guys.
it looks like sassy actually.
Oh.
We'll have to
And
send you
I think
pictures.
I think the
Sassy,
fabric
put
is
up.
called Mustang. I think the fabric is called Mustang something.
It's cool looking. And
And of course, a couple pandemic masks for all your social distancing needs. There we go. There we go.
that's a very Actually,
I make this work, I think, actually.
I think you could do it.
my glasses.
Doctor, 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 doctor.
And by the way, those are not for the baby. Those are for you. Those are for you guys.
No, I figured. This is cool, though. I like it. It's very
More
stylish.
horse prints.
Mm-hmm.
And those are from a line called Derby Style. I'm not really sure. Like, it does kind of look like that polo horse from Ralph Lauren a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Another one of my favorite fabrics.
It is really neat.
Did you get a pattern for this, or did you just
Um,
think it up?
there was a tutorial. There's like everyone and their mother is jumping on the bandwagon for mask tutorials. I'm not super comfortable with doing one myself. But I found somebody else's tutorial. Wow, I don't know if that was a firework or something from outside, but I don't know. Hopefully, it's not the other thing.
Somebody's not happy
but
about having to
yeah,
wear
somebody's
masks.
not having a great Sunday. But there was a tutorial that I found that looked easy enough to follow, so I've been doing that. So there's two different main styles of masks. There's the pleated kind, and then there's like the fitted kind with the nose thing. And I like the nose one, but they're a lot more time consuming. And I like the pleats. Like the mask I have is actually the pleated kind. So I'm a big fan of that one. But overall, I mean they're both good styles. And did you notice I put the garden tie in there so you could shape it to your nose?
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
that's neat.
Because that's something that's important when you're making the masks is that you can shape it for the nose so that
You see that? Am I doing
so
that
that
right?
yes you are so that you can, because I guess part of it is that if it's not molded to your nose, like they're a lot less
Yeah, you can.
effective. And there's a pocket so you can put a filter in there if you want to put some
Yep.
other type of
Oh, wow, that's
too.
neat.
I saw that too. That was a really nice touch, Jen. Like there you
Wow.
go. There's
The mask. And I tried, and notice, Lynn, I put a couple more gender neutral fabrics in there so they weren't all like pink masks.
It's
So
all
we
good.
went with that's what is that? Oh, that's a sloth.
Yeah, sloth.
That's definitely for Chaka.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can try to put it on the dog. That works.
I think she would let us.
Do you think she could get
I'll send you a
coronavirus,
picture.
or do you think she has built up the antibody immunity?
She's been pretty much self-quarantining
Okay.
for the last
Yeah.
like 6 years. So I don't think she's really got a concern.
She's not okay. She's not worried. Yeah,
She
no.
did go to the dog park one time last year in
Ooh.
Seattle. Seattle,
Okay,
the epicenter.
So for people who don't know you, you guys live in kind of a rural area in Central Washington, and in even social distance, like this place makes social distancing kind of easy because
Easy.
you do it pretty much all the time, right?
Yeah, it's life. Yeah. Yeah, our closest neighbor is, I don't know, a half a football or a full football field away.
Oh, two
football fields?
300 meters, 300 yards away. So it's 2 to 3 football fields away.
And that's across the street and then across her property. Then you get to her house.
Yeah,
And then the next neighbor from there is acres and acres away.
quarter mile.
Yeah.
Okay, and
We do know that somebody on our road tested positive for COVID-19.
get out on your road.
Yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
no.
But he's like, but keep
Quarter
in mind
mile
on
away.
our road.
Okay, on our road,
yeah,
it could be like miles down the road. Okay,
He's at
and
the end
you're
of the
in your
road,
own
yeah.
houses. So you came from Seattle, which was kind of the epicenter for everything. So, I mean, you guys got
Yeah.
out, and you did a vlog about how you got out at kind of the right time.
Yeah, we didn't know that this was coming, but we left in November. I took a turn in my career in September, and then it took us a little while to find a place to live. But by November, we had moved out here, about 90 minutes from Seattle, and worlds away, culturally, landscape, everything. And Sassy, our horse, is now on the property with us. Literally, she's like can be right outside the sliding glass door, eating grass, hanging out, and we have a fire pit, and we're renovating Airstream to live in, so we have plenty of space now to work on that, which is really nice.
We have the John Wayne Trail literally right off our backyard.
That's cool too. It's a trail that goes all the way to Idaho. It's called the Palouse Cascades Trail, more technically speaking, and it goes almost to Seattle and then all the way to Idaho.
So if you need to escape, you could just go on that trail, right?
I walk that trail
Idaho.
almost every day. Yeah.
So you guys could get on Sassy and then just ride away.
Yeah,
Can
basically,
all
we're
of
the
you?
Airstream.
Can you both fit on the horse?
We
Be
could,
difficult.
but Sassy's getting kind of old,
Okay,
so
so you wouldn't want. Okay, I was gonna say
Or
if you
probably
needed an
follow up
escape.
behind with the Jeep.
she was born when I was 11, and she's 28 now. So she could do it, but it's like riding grandma. You
Okay.
don't want too much weight on grandma.
That's a really interesting mental picture, though.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
And Allison vlogs all about all this on her channel, Alison Morrow, Allison with one L.
Yeah.
And you vlog about all this, and you're gonna be vlogging a bit about the birth, not like all of it, but parts of it,
Most of it. Yeah.
most of it.
Oh, I've got a GoPro mount that sits on the bill of my hat. Like
Is it
I'm
like
gonna
a
have it in there.
POV
I'm
cam?
gonna with these bare hands. I'm gonna bring our kid into this world. So
I will
she'll
be
have
looking
video.
forward to
It's just a
that
matter of
video
whether
for
or not she
sure.
wants to use it.
It'll be good.
And
Yeah.
didn't you? Now I remember you telling me this. Didn't you turn down one of the hospitals because they wouldn't let you vlog at the hospital?
Yeah.
You said no to them, right?
Yeah, we've
You could not
decided
shoot video. That was not the hospital.
they wouldn't let us shoot video of the actual delivery, which is like,
It's
to
your
me,
own kid.
well, and as a former reporter, it's like that's like covering someone stuck in a house fire and the emergency crew comes, but you have to turn your camera off when they pull the stretcher out with the person on there alive.
That's
I
cool.
mean,
Or
why
Yeah,
would
that's
you?
true.
better yet, it would be like when you went to the Olympics and you like videotaped it, like say you were doing 1,000-yard dash or something like that, and you videotaped everything up right up to
But the finish line.
the actual 2 seconds, like
Yeah.
beginning and end of the finish line.
Right.
That's kind of suspicious. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's obviously a liability issue,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
I'd happily sign something that says, if I catch you on camera screwing up, I won't sue you.
You won't sue? Yeah.
But they won't let me sign that paper. So it's just like, no.
Oh.
Plus, with all the stuff that's going on right now, they're starting to kind of lock down the hospitals, and it's like Hotel California. You can come, but you're never leaving. They won't let you leave your room. If, say, Lynn had to take a phone call, for instance, and the reception wasn't good in the room, if he leaves, he can't come back.
That's
So
crazy.
can't walk the hallways. Can't, if we want to get a soda or something, you can't leave the room. Nothing.
We went for a sonogram the other day, and they kicked, or ultrasound. It's the same thing.
I don't think it is, but
Is it? I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Go ahead,
Is
look it up.
sonogram? I thought they were
we went to go, look at the baby to see that everything was going all right, and they kicked me out of the hospital. And I'm like, well,
just because they're like no moms only or something, or
you just say it can only be the patient. I'm like, well,
oh, got it. Man.
An ultrasound exam is a procedure that uses high-frequency sound waves to scan a woman's abdomen and pelvic cavity, creating a picture, which is the sonogram.
Okay.
Oh,
So the sonogram is the picture. Okay. So the ultrasound is like the procedure, and then the sonogram is like it's like getting your picture taken on the roller coaster kind of thing, right? Okay.
So
hey, you learn new things every day. And your dad is a doctor, so that's kind of why.
Parents.
Yeah, your parents are so that's kind of why you're the way you are. Like,
what, a hypochondriac?
No.
Oh my, thank you.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
Admitting it is the first step. I love.
So I used to be way worse than I am today. I wanted to say we got a card here too.
Oh.
From Jen, and pretty flowers. And it says, Alison and Lynn, can't wait for the arrival of baby Westover. What a blessing. Love, Jen.
Thank you so much.
I should have wrote wow on it as a suggestion too.
Yeah, for baby
wow. I don't know.
She's really going for it.
I'm going for the wow.
It was like my sister. I forgot the name that my sister suggested. I came home and told Allie, I was like, oh, Laura said she really liked this, that, or the other. And Allison was like, wait, what?
No, she texted me and said, I like Martin or something.
Martin.
His sister texted and was like, yeah, I really like how you chose that name. I don't remember what it was. It was,
it Malachi or something?
I don't know, but I was like, I didn't choose that name. I don't know what you're talking about.
Martin is kind of a sleeper name, I think.
It wasn't Martin. It was something else. It was something else, but I was like, I didn't know.
Maybe we could bring that name back, Martin. When was the last time you met a baby named Martin? I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Well, what was or was it the Lutheran, the monk that posted the
Martin Luther?
Oh, Martin Luther. The 95, was it the 95 thesis? Oh yeah.
That's one of Allison's favorite things to reference when she's talking about anything having to do with like the news and the media. And at any rate, that's a whole nother video.
Okay, so I want to ask you guys, out of all the items, do you have a favorite?
Ooh,
You had to pick a
that's
favorite.
you know what? I really like the beanies,
I like the beanies too. I like
but it's a
these
toss-up
because I can
between the
wear them.
beanies and the footies for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
The footies look like the most intricate. Like you had to work the hardest to make
Okay.
them.
That's okay. And that was my next question is which item do you think was the most difficult or took the longest?
My guess is booty.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was because of that. So, and I'll send you like I put up the video actually while we're taping this, I put up the video today. The stretching the elastic over that piece was really tricky. And then the construction was kind of hard. So that was definitely the most difficult. Like the blanket is actually, even though the blanket's the biggest, and you might think that's like the most time consuming, it's actually the booties, which are probably one of the smaller items.
Right. Well, you have to. I would liken it. This would be the same as like trying to make a glove, like learning how to sew a glove. And so, and then two on the bottom there, like you had to serge this, and so yeah, I could see how difficult this was to make.
It
So
was
it's
yeah, it took a little bit to figure out. Like it got easier. And that's the thing when you're making something, when you make multiples, it gets and actually so I have to tell you something, Lynn. My husband Tim walks in when I was finishing these, so I was showing them and he's like, you should have put a Marine Corps logo on the bottom of the booties. I was like, that's a great idea. But it was after I'd already finished. I'm like, I'm not starting over again. And I actually had to make more of the items because somehow my camera, I don't know what happened, but I didn't get parts of it on tape. So I actually had to make more items just to reshoot. Like this, if you had to guess how long all this took, what would you guess? Like for everything?
for everything.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. You have
24
three.
hours.
Hold on
24
a
hours.
minute.
You're pretty close.
Damn it! I was
Okay.
trying to
Okay.
actually look at what was there,
Okay.
and I think I just cursed
What
on
would
your.
you guess, Lynn? That's all right. Hey, it's YouTube, man. It's
Well, it's kind of like I can't prove a negative now because she said 24 hours and you said pretty close. So
pretty close. But you
if I had to go with days, like over
okay.
time, even recognizing that, hey, maybe you're spending 2 to 3 hours a day on it because you've got other things to do, not just sit here and make baby stuff for me and Allison. I would say it probably took you a week, 4 to 6 hours a day.
Actually, Lynn, you're closer. You're closer. I kind of keep track of what I work on every day, and I think it took me 4 days, but like longer than 8 hours a day.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
like it take also keep in mind I'm really slow. A lot of people are much faster. Some of these projects I only made for the first time, so it takes longer like the first time
Wow.
and because I'm filming it at the same time. So if I was just sewing and not doing anything else and if I'd made it before, it probably would take a lot quicker, but I was like, "Man, this took longer than I." And because I was making more of them. So probably 4 days at probably 10 hours a day.
Oh
So
my
it
god.
was a while. So
40
that's why
hours.
when
24
people
hours is
say
not close to
that's why when
40.
people say like, "Hey, you should sell this on Etsy." It's like, I don't know, man. Like you'd have to charge like a
Yeah.
lot, yeah, more than people are willing
Willing
to
to
pay.
pay.
And again, because I was filming everything too, it just takes so
Well, that's a
probably
good.
about 8 to 10, probably at least 8 hours for all those 4 days. But I was shooting as well. When I'm starting to do something, I have to line up my shot, make sure you can kind of see what I'm doing. So it's just, it kind of just takes, it takes longer than you think, but it would be a lot shorter if I wasn't doing all those other things too.
Well, that's a really good point that you bring up though, because uh, like when we do filming for the Airstream, even though we haven't done any Airstream videos for quite some time now, we're going to be starting that back up again.
Woohoo!
But it does like something that would, and I'll just use the Airstream as an example. Something that would maybe take, I don't know, two hours to do, will take 6 hours to do when you're trying to film it. And
Oh
then
yeah.
there's the other side of it too. Sometimes with some of that stuff, like there's a lot of me trying to figure things out. And so kind of similar to what you were saying with building stuff like this, like first of all, if it's the first time you've done it, you haven't had that repetition yet to actually, where you're, adept at making something or doing something. And that's some of the things that we've begun to notice about the Airstream is usually right about the time you're getting towards the end of whatever that particular skill or that project is, when you're starting to get good at it, you're moving on to the next one. So it's really rather moot. It's a moot point
You're like,
as to,
man,
so it's just, but it's
Probably
still,
like having a kid once you finally get like the diaper wiping butt thing down.
then
and
they're
doing
Gotta move to
older,
potty
then
training.
you're like, oh. Well, I'm glad. It's interesting to get your perspective from. I guess it's sort of like a virtual baby shower. I don't know,
We didn't
but
get to have our baby
I
shower
know
because
because
it got
you
canceled.
can't do anything now. That's
No.
it,
It's really special though. No one's ever spent 40
you're
hours
so
making us
jeez.
anything.
Also, I'm super, and I tell people in the videos I'm very slow. So it takes me a lot. Like it took me a week to make 30 something masks when other people were busting out like 50 a night, and I'm like, what's wrong with me, man?
Wow.
Like other people are
Well,
just a lot faster.
I think it is the filming, but also you take care with what you're working on and don't want to, mess it up, stuff like that.
it means a lot. I know
Yeah.
I know what it's like to take time to handcraft something, and especially like sewing something, because the construction of it, like, I don't think that was one thing that always like kind of fascinated me about textiles. I grew up in North Carolina, so it was a textile center of the US for a long time, and still is in a lot of ways. I mean, that's where they did a lot of research out of Kevlar and carbon fiber and things like that. But when I was in the military, I got into like sewing tactical nylon, and just working on our kind of equipment and stuff like that. And the smallest thing would be the one that's the toughest thing to make. Something that you're like, oh, this take 5-10 minutes to put
Yeah.
together. Negative. Like, it'd take you that much time to cut out the parts because they're not that small. But then when it comes time to actually like place it all together and do that puzzle set, it's a lot more trickier than it seems. So no, this means a lot to us.
Yeah, this is our most special baby gift because you made it.
Oh, okay. So I want to ask a couple more questions. So as you're getting the baby stuff together, and I know you've started getting some furniture, in your eyes, like, what do you think is like? There's so much out there in terms of baby stuff. What do you think is super cute? Like as far as themes go, are you into like elephants or like Noah's Ark? Like, what do you think is
Hmm.
cool as far as like what you're seeing? I don't know.
I don't know if we've got. Well, Lynn's mom got us this. Actually, she bought it for me, but I think it would be cool for the baby. It's like a purple elephant, but it has lavender in it, like
Ooh,
lavender pieces, and you put it in the microwave and heat it up, and so it's like a warm pillow that smells like lavender. That thing is awesome.
Oh, that's pretty cute.
We like I will say we're probably the least like cute or trendy new parents, like focused kind of people, because we live pretty minimally and we're moving into a 34-foot trailer, to live in. So we've been telling people like we just want the basics. But however, I looked into cloth diapers because we're going to do a lot of them. We also have like conventional regular diapers, but we want to do cloth diapers, and cloth diapers are like killing it right now in style. Like I think
ooh.
they used to be just, it's a diaper, so people are just like, "Dad, just make it off-white or brown or whatever." Now they come in all kinds of designs and colors and various shapes, and cloth diapers I think are the up and coming like innovative part of baby wear.
They are really. It was that company Bum Genius. They make some
Yeah,
really cool
Bum
ones.
Genius is one of
I
them.
I knew a lady that made really cool custom diaper covers, super cute colors.
Yeah.
She did a lot of embroidery, so she would do different designs. Like there's some really cool stuff out there for babies. I don't have
That's
a
the
baby,
new
but the
thing.
stuff is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like if there's anything that's like, yeah, becoming kind of trendy, it would be the switch from conventional to cloth diapers. It's not just for Little House on the Prairie. It's for like actual, real, even urban people are using cloth diapers. And then they're cute. They're like really, really cute fabrics. So
And another thing I want to ask is, what, in your opinion, what kind of gifts do you think would be good for anyone watching and someone wants to make something? What kind of gifts do you think would be great for new parents or for babies?
Money for the college fund.
yeah.
Money for the college fund. Okay, that's a good one. That is a good one. Or
I
trade
mean,
school or whatever they do.
I think parents get too much stuff. Like people want to buy you we have a friend who brought us so many clothes, like from her hand-me-downs, I think that's the way to go. It's like find friends, get that kind of stuff as a hand-me-down, and then ask people to donate to like a college fund or an IRA, something like that, because the stuff, like, from everything I've talked to people about and read, it's like that's great and you get excited about it, but it lasts like 6 months to a year, and then it's like, what do you do with it? Unless you're gonna have another kid, but then what do you do with it after that? So, like, stay minimal on the stuff you get. Like, the kid needs a place to sleep, obviously. You got to have some kind of covering on their butt to make sure they're not
They need
painting
toilet
walls.
paper, right?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, there's like certain things you gotta have like that. But otherwise, like, yeah, I mean, I think it's less confusing for people to have to go through registries anyway. It's like, hey, here's our college fund. I mean, we did that for our wedding because we got married at 35, so we didn't really need anything. So we just asked people like, hey, donate to the Airstream fund or our off the grid living fund, and just give us money, because we'll put it in savings and we'll invest it in the stuff that we need as the needs arise. So I think that's the way to do it.
So that's a good thought, is that not always stuff, but, obviously new parents, cash is king, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other side of it is too, is like when you have, like, my wife is so specific about very specific things, so on one hand, like, it even happens to me. I'll go and find something and I'll like look it up and I'm smart now. I've learned my lesson, but I'll be like, hey, honey, check this out. Isn't this cool? Da, da, da. And she'll be like, do you know what that's made out of? And this is off gas and this and off gas. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, forget I said anything.
Or like people buy us food.
The Amazon order that I just made because apparently this one doesn't like it.
What if I send you guys a case of Monster drinks? Would that be
No, don't send those.
I will be your best friend
let Lynn
forever,
have
Jen.
Monster for like the first 6 months of the baby's
No
life.
more
Then it's gonna have to become Daddy's secret addiction.
Okay,
Daddy's
so
garage mistress.
so maybe a fridge in the garage with all the Monster
We have a
drinks.
freezer.
Beer and Monster. Monster for the daytime hours in the morning and beer for the evening.
Well, it is. I mean, Lynn does bring up a good point that it is something to ask people, like, what if you're going to buy the natural item, like, do they have specifications about it? Because, for instance, people want to like get you food. Yeah, well, I'm really anal about food. So
you
like,
are very picky about your food. Although I was surprised you ate at Woody's on the beach. I was like,
well, when I go out, it's like, I don't, I'm not like I will eat like when someone invites me over or whatever. But if it's our stuff that we're eating on a regular basis, like, I like to know the farms it comes from. We buy direct from ranchers down the street. Like, I'm pretty specific about food additives and preservatives and chemicals and dyes and that kind of stuff. So it's just funny, like, there are people who know us very well and they'll still send us like high preservative, food dye, sugar, treats. And I'm like, can you send me pears or apples or something? Like, that's what I want to eat. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is something to think about, even whether it's clothing or food, because people want to give new parents all this stuff to make your life easier, but it's not really making it easier if it's stuff that they're like, I don't really want that,
For me,
I think some onesies with Monster's logo embroidered. No, I'm kidding. That would.
For me, the biggest thing was the realization was, I talked to a lot of people that I know, like friends of mine, their wives, my mom, and the biggest thing is really, like, you don't need as much baby stuff as you think you need. And the biggest thing that stuck with me, like, my mom told me a story about when she had me. She's like, yeah, I bought this little baby bathtub thing and it had all this like apparatus to it and so on and so forth. She said, by the first day of having you home, I was giving you a bath in the bathtub. I didn't even use that thing. So I think it's another one of those things where on paper or on a website, oh yeah, that looks really cool. But then, the reality of it is it's not as maybe necessary as you think it is. So, I mean, we have the things that we need. We have a jogging stroller, a regular stroller. The regular stroller has this was a piece of advice that somebody gave us, like, hey, for the infant, you want a car carrier where you can actually take the carrier out, but it leaves the base in the car, because you don't want to be taking the kid in and out of things, because when they're asleep, you want them to stay asleep. So that was one of the pieces of advice. And then the other thing
And
was
you
like,
have to have a car seat to leave the hospital.
right. So
Okay.
So that's the one thing. Like, if you don't have anything else, you can put your
Just
kid.
get the car seat. Okay.
You could take a drawer out of your boudoir here, like, and that could become the baby's bed on the ground. But you ain't leaving the hospital without a car
So they
seat.
won't let you leave unless the kid's in a car seat. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
some hospitals,
Okay.
like my buddy, he had his third kid, and they wouldn't let them leave. The nurse actually went outside with them to make sure that he had the car seat already in because they've had kids before, so he put the car seat in. She took the car seat out and then reinstalled it for them. And what was really funny about it is, like, after they left, he's like, man, she reinstalled this and wasted all her time, and she missed like half the straps anyhow. Like, so, but it's like one of those, CYA kind of
You gotta have
liability
that.
things.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, so that's just what we did is we went with that mindset. And then the biggest thing too, like, we didn't get crazy of trying to decorate like a room for baby because everybody's like, yeah, it doesn't even matter. You're going to have the kid in a bassinet for the first immediate future coming home. You're going to want that kid right next to the bed anyways for feedings. And so.
And we're moving into a trailer. I don't know if I meant.
So how is that going to be like when you move into the trailer with the kid? What do you think?
We'll tell you in about a year and a half.
You'll tell. Okay, so if you guys want to follow Alison and Lynn, we're going to talk a little bit now about their channel. And obviously, if you've been listening for a while, you can tell Alison and Lynn are more minimalistic, and they really want to go more off the grid and live a more sustainable life. So that's what the channel is all about. So Alison and Lynn, tell us about the channel, a little bit about your background and what people can find on the Alison Morrow YouTube channel.
Well, Alison Morrow is my name from television. Obviously, Lynn's last name is Westover. That's where the WOW comes
That's
from.
where the WOW
Jen
comes
wants
from.
us
Yeah.
to, yeah. So, but I started my channel back when I was still in television news. That was my life prior to all of this today. And I was in TV news for almost 14 years. One of those years and a half as a producer for a national cable news show. I lived in New York City. And then I became a reporter covering the environment finally in Seattle. I covered general assignment stuff, which is Jen and I met in Tampa, where I was a general assignment reporter there, and she worked in news too. And then Lynn and I met on a story. And Lynn's background is?
I'm Lynn.
You're Lynn.
No, but I spent 12 years in the Marine Corps, did special operations, and then I got out and continued working for the government and doing a lot of other different kind of military security and law enforcement industry type things. And I was doing some training for an organization called VETPA, Veterans Empowered to Protect African Wildlife, and that's when I met Alison. She was doing a story on them. I wasn't really a part of them then. I was just doing training for them. And then her and I met, and she couldn't keep her eyes off of me and fell head over heels in love with me. And
There's a little more to the story than that, but
there is. We'll tell that some other time. But
that's all on the blog. That's on the blog. Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to trick her into marrying me, and so this was something that she was really actually. I didn't push her into any of this. This was just something that over time, she'd had a fascination with, and so I was like, well, that's definitely in my bailiwick of being, things that I'm okay with doing. So we started doing more and more research, going to YouTube, of course, on things, and then I was actually surprised the day that because I've been already watching a lot of videos on things like, redoing buses and renovating Airstreams and things like that. And then the one day she was like, hey, what do you think about renovating an Airstream? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you what I think about it. And then so we started, looking at all the different stuff, and that was actually a lot easier sell than I thought it was going to be. So here we are.
Yeah. So, well, I think 10 years from now, and maybe even sooner than that, it'll be normal for reporters to be like more remote. But my idea of living in a remote Airstream was a little bit too edgy for my bosses. So it was either stay in Seattle and keep that mainstream news career, or live the life that we wanted to live and sort of invent media and news, which is how YouTube kind of became my new home. And especially Jen, thanks to you, because you gave me a lot of inspiration because of your transition to YouTube and doing that kind of stuff. So it's very fulfilling. I mean, I would say of all the things I do now, YouTube for a professional side is my favorite thing to do.
It seems to really fit your personality well. And Allison and Lynn do all kinds of videos, from vlogs about the Airstream to you do some breakdown of media, you do some media analysis. You also talk a lot about that's kind of how you have so much knowledge, is from the background in environmental reporting. You just have this higher level of knowledge about a lot of things like chemicals, or about what's safe, or what kind of products you can use for a more natural lifestyle. And I think that's really cool to learn about. Like, I recently learned that hydrogen peroxide is a great disinfectant, and you
Yeah.
don't need to have like Clorox wipes and stuff. So you have a DIY video on making your own hydrogen peroxide disinfectant wipes.
Right.
You've talked to your dad a few times on the channel. So guys, if you're interested in that sort of thing, or just the off the grid stuff, which seems to be really growing in popularity right now, check out the channel. There's some really great stuff over there, and I really enjoy watching all of the videos.
Thank you. Yeah, our
Thanks, Jen.
landlord, because we're renting right now while we renovate this Airstream, she sells real estate, and we weren't sure how this pandemic and the economic consequences of it were going to affect that. But she said she has seen a ton of people deciding they're out of the city, so they're leaving
Yeah.
Seattle and coming out here. And so I think more and more that idea of simplifying your life and having space so that if you're on a lockdown, you can walk around your 5 acres versus having a 150 square foot box apartment, which was like the micro housing stuff that was coming to Seattle. I can't imagine being stuck in a
Oh
situation like
gosh.
that right now. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like for me, I became the message that I was covering. Like I was spending a lot of time out in the wild, and I was learning stuff that it made me realize like there is a very fulfilling side of switching to a life of responsibility and self-sufficiency. It's not just philosophical. It's like there's a lot of contentment that comes from that, being able to do things for yourself and the meaning and purpose. Like you made all this stuff. I mean, this is so much more meaningful than something that you just get quickly at a store. And so that's the idea sort of behind our move too, is that you understand the cost of what it requires to be a human being living in today's world. And because of that, you're more grateful for the little things that perhaps you overlooked because they didn't really mean much before, because you didn't even know who made them. You didn't know they were halfway around the world before you even had thought to go on the internet and order them. So that's kind of what we hope comes out of it, and we hope that our kid grows up to have more gratitude and just a greater sense of purpose and meaning in life.
Well, and I think, one thing, because I noticed on some of the videos, I left some comments back and forth on some of your latest videos you did with regard to, like, how to save water, reusing water bottles,
Or my
things like
crush on
that.
Dr. Fauci.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no, I love that.
on your other
That
channel.
was pretty cute. I love the fact that you made that Time like Man of the Year art or magazine cover with him. That looked really good too. But like in all seriousness though, like I think it is rather significant of like, like I said to you in the comment, like adapting and overcoming. So something as simple as just like, well, I don't need to buy a case of water. I have perfectly good tap water. I'm just going to reuse the bottles that I already have. And on so many different levels, that's kind of a thing. Like I remember growing up, like when we thought like we were going to have a big hurricane or a lot of tornadoes coming through, because I grew up on the East Coast in North Carolina, and that was a real thing. We would fill our bathtub up with water just in case, for whatever reason, the water got contaminated or shut off. Well, you knew you had 50 gallons of water sitting in that bathtub that you could drink. And you even see now where somebody got smart and made like actual a water blivet that you can put in your bathtub for that purpose, and you just fill it up, and then it protects the water. So whether it's things like that, or even I know you and Allie talked a little bit about the how things have changed with the media. It was so funny to me that when Allie was pitching to the news station, like, hey, I'm already covering this, I'm doing the environment, this will allow me to be closer to the people and the kind of stories that I'm covering. just let me work remote. And they were like, no, there's no way, we can't do it, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. And then you see all these anchors
I
and these
know.
other people doing basically YouTube from their home, and I have to say, doing it badly,
Yeah,
because
and when push
they're
comes
even
to
the
shove,
most
they figured it out, well, sort
right.
of.
But like, and even being grateful for things like that, like we don't have the greatest like network reception out here. Allison, every time she does a video, after she renders the video, she actually has to drive into town to use cellular service, and it takes her
Yeah.
about, on average, 2 hours to upload a video just to make sure it gets on the channel. So she does put a considerable amount of time and effort
Yeah,
into it.
I can't believe you drive somewhere to upload your videos. Well, I'm so excited to meet this baby.
So are we.
So guys, watching again, follow Allison if you want to see what this baby is like, whether it's a boy or girl. Maybe you can see some of the
Eh,
sewing report items in the vlogs, wearing a booty or something. I don't know.
yeah,
But for
sure.
some
Yeah.
product placement
Well,
there, it's like a K-drama now.
we're definitely gonna bring this stuff with us.
I'm just kidding.
We'll
I
bring
don't
this
know
stuff with us.
yeah, I don't know what's going on with me these days. I think I'm going stir crazy. And I will say, as thanks to this channel and to the other channels I have, I was certainly less affected economically by all of this. So that's the good thing about going digital is that again, it's another way of self-reliance is that,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my employer closing or something because I'm working from, I've been self-quarantining for years, guys.
Right,
So
right. Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely one of those things where you hear a lot of people say like, are we gonna ever go back to normal? Well, in some ways it's like, are there lessons learned in this case that we don't want to go back to?
No,
That would
I
be
kind of
better for the
like
future.
some of the things, I think a lot of jobs could work from home too.
Yeah.
And think about it, you're saving everybody the gas they're driving to work, the time they're
Right.
commuting. And also a lot of let's be honest, a lot of these business meetings with travel like could have been easily done over Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the things that where you're spending $5,000 to fly to Shanghai or
Yeah.
something, could have been a lot of these meetings could be conducted
Yeah.
virtually and save them thousands of dollars. So I think you're going to see more companies doing that
For sure.
and less, less access, I guess. And that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I've seen pictures of places around the world where you can actually see the mountains in the background because there's no air pollution like there was before when everybody was driving around. So, in some cases you have to, and people will go back to their brick and mortar shop, but in other cases maybe people will say I could be more productive, have a better quality of life, it's better for the environment, it's better for my pocketbook. Why not? We were
yeah,
just doing this because it was the way things were done, but does it have to be done that
yeah.
way?
The one nice thing about all this stuff that's been going on, aside from all the things that suck, because this has severely impacted my work,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's all in person and it's teaching. So, but I will say this, uh, you don't have to listen to as much of the hyperbole and all the other things that are going on. Like there's been much better YouTube content that has actually been coming out as well. So I think we've gone, with the exception of content that Allie looks for to do the journalistic analysis on things, we've been watching mainly more YouTube and other things than
Yeah.
we have of like the news and stuff like that, because you can sit there and watch 5 or 10 minutes of it and you're like, okay, I got it, I'm good for the day, and then you can move on. So
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of the Sewing Report, guys. I know this was, we got a little bit off. This is not specifically a sewing video, but I just thought this would be fun to do and bring Allison and Lynn on just to chit chat and, just kind of show off some of the stuff from the last video of the baby items and just get some reaction from some real people. So I'm very happy we did this episode. And if you're looking for something to watch next, I'm going to link Allison and Lynn's pregnancy announcement, and I do have an appearance in it. So because I saw them in Florida a few months ago, and I did not, and then that's when you told me you were pregnant, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was a really fun video. And so check out the channel. You will not be disappointed. There's some really great stuff on there. I know it's not specifically sewing and crafts, although you did do a craft video in one. So there's some, but I feel like we have a lot of overlap, and we have a lot of the same values and the same kind of message to the viewers. So thank you guys so much for watching. And Allison, Lynn, thank you so much. And I'm very interested to look forward to meeting the wow baby very soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the gifts. It was so thoughtful.
Yes, thank you very much.
We'll see you again soon for another episode of the Sewing Report.